Desde poco más de un siglo, un pilar fundamental de desarrollo y riqueza para México. Vamos rumbo claro hacia el progreso, voluntad inspiradora de empresarios que se entregan sin rendirse.
Ejemplo claro y fiel de resiliencia, un legado de excelencia empresarial ante la adversidad. Hombres y mujeres invaluables que generan los empleos y que velan por sus clientes, insistiendo con paciencia hasta lograr el éxito alcanzar. El éxito alcanzar, el éxito alcanzar.
Concanaco servitud, mentes grandes ganadoras, empresarios, contribuyen grandemente al crecimiento y al progreso que hace grande a este país. Concanaco servitud, con comercio, servicios y el turismo, muestran siempre al mundo entero lo más bello, todo aquello que hace a México mejor. Abren su comercio muy temprano, atendiendo a las personas una a una con gran cordialidad.
Insisten, tesoneros son de origen, y aunque a veces no se logra el resultado, nada impide que lo vuelvan a intentar hasta el éxito alcanzar.
Éxito alcanzar, éxito alcanzar. Concanaco servitud, mentes grandes ganadoras, empresarios.
Logra el resultado, nada impide que lo vuelvan a intentar hasta el éxito alcanzar.
World Bank is mentioning that the global economy is stabilizing after several negative episodes in previous years, but difficulties challenges remain. They mentioned that it's expected that the economic growth will be around 2.7%. For example, the World Bank mentioned 6 global economy is stabilizing after several negative episodes in previous years, but this growth that maybe is not quite high, but because of the great problems that the economic growth. They also mentioned that the global inflation around 2.7% than previously assumed, averaging around 3.5% for this growth. That World Bank has suggested that governments they should implement policies to raise productivity growth, improve the efficiency of public investment, build human capital in order to close gender gaps in the labor government. Additionally, other institutions such as International Monetary Fund, they stated that in the past 4 years have put the resilience of the global economy to the test. The global economy has demonstrated the resilience overall, but this masks uneven performance across regions, additionally injuring fragilities. The institution said that the global growth is expected to remain broadly flat and we are past 4 years ago and not resilience for the next years. The global economy test is around 3.2% for all, but this masks. In the case of the World Trade Organization, in charge of enduring measures about international trade, the Director General said that rising geopolitical tension and increased economic policy uncertainty in the case of the post-substantial downside risk to the forecast. They underline that it's important that we have, as a government, we have to work together to ensure global economic growth, stability, sustained growth, and this substantial downside risk, for example, welfare for the trade. And in the case of the Organization for Economic Cooperation as a government, geopolitical tension and both short-term risk, public debt ratios are still high, and the medium-term growth prospects are too weak. So that's why we need to take care of these issues in order to improve our growth forward. They recommend political tension to boost productivity. I need to improve education from our people. They said so that's why we improve the policies toward investment in order to facilitate this kind of investment.
Oye, una pregunta. Estás compartiendo, pero estoy pasando un ruido. Creo que por computadora. Vamos a cortar tantito, ¿eh? Lo estoy,
A ver, ponlo.
Sí, 1, 2, 3.
Se ve el video de mi presentación, no se ve, no te escuchas tú, Gustavo.
Sí, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Sí, 1, 2, 3.
Has de traer un delay de transmisión, yo creo, porque está el video de Concanaco, no estás tú.
Sí, 1, 2, 3. Uno, dos, tres, prueba sí. Uno, dos, tres.
Rolando, ¿puedes hablar algo para probar el audio, por favor?
Pero,
Sí, ¿me escuchan?
pues, por
¿Me
favor, hazme
escuchan?
caso. Se está transmitiendo en vivo el video
Hola.
de Concanaco.
Pero ya está avanzado el video.
No escuchas, por favor. Estás transmitiendo en vivo el video de Concanaco, no te estás viendo tú. ¿Ya me entendiste, Gustavo?
Sí,
Dices que
pero
tú
no, yo no
usar.
estoy. A ver, déjame cerrar el programa. Entonces, espérame.
No lo cierres, a ver, Gus, no puedes tú ponerte en vivo, tú no puedes subirte al Zoom y abrir el Zoom y tú va a aparecer en vivo en la pantalla para ver si es la computadora de este niño. Yo creo que es su computadora.
No,
Ahorita, no sé si me entiendes, en la transmisión en vivo está el video de Concanaco. Yo lo que necesito es que en la transmisión en vivo salgas tú para escucharte a ti y ver si es el programa o es la computadora de este niño. ¿Ya me entiendes lo que te digo?
sí te entiendo, pero no, no sé por qué a ti no te cambia. O sea, ese es el detalle.
Lo que está en vivo, pues no es que a mí me cambie, pues es lo que tiene. Ah, ya ni siquiera estás en vivo.
Pues te digo, es que se cortó. O sea, ya se cortó ahorita la imagen.
Cortaste la transmisión.
No, se cortó sola.
Hola, ¿me escuchan?
Sí, esperemos, está solucionando. Pasó algo con el audio que no sabemos qué pasó.
Y abra su computadora él en el Zoom y a ver, hay que checar la prueba.
Sí se escucha bien.
Ahora, sube los programas.
Rolando, ¿nos puedes decir, pronunciar unas palabras solo para verificar tu audio, por favor?
Sí, sí. Hola, hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Me escuchan? Vamos a hablar de
Muy bien, está jalando bien ahí el audio.
política comercial.
Tiene abierto otro audio, tiene abierto otra computadora. ¿No escuchan el eco?
Ah, bueno, es que se escucha porque estás oyendo tú y se oye acá también. O sea, se escucha doble aquí.
Dame otra vez, que le abro el sonido. Ahora, ¿cómo tienes conectada la computadora? La tienes directa, no le metes una bocinina, ni le metes nada o le metes algo.
No, nada, todo está directo a la computadora.
Computadora, pero de la que cuál. No tienes conectado a una mezcladora de audio antes.
No, nada, nada de eso.
No, yo lo que estoy casi seguro es que duplicaste 2, 3 o 10 veces el programa.
Que no.
Bueno, entonces no, pero por algo falló. Hay que apurarlo, Gustavo. ¿Qué tanto tiempo te va a tomar volver a hacer la transmisión?
Un minuto, dame un minuto, nada más déjame poner el, el título y ya. Sí, pero en Facebook se corta y tengo que volver a ponerlo todo.
Aunque sea con Concanaco, el tema es que
Rolando, por favor, podríamos iniciar nuevamente y si eres tan amable, puedes hablarnos algo para probar tu audio, por favor.
Sí, ¿me escuchan? Hola, hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Vamos a hablar de perspectivas. ¿Empiezo nuevamente toda la presentación?
Sí, sí, por favor,
Pero
Rolando.
todavía no se transmite en Facebook.
Ok. Entonces,
Es que todavía no se transmite en Facebook. A ver, ahora sí, sí, ya está en vivo. Ya está en vivo en Facebook. Ya, adelante. Excelente.
Cuelgo entonces otra vez para que evitar el
Gracias,
eco.
bye.
Gracias. Entonces, Rolando, si eres tan amable, vamos a iniciar una vez más. Si puedes
ok.
presentar y te presento.
¿Tú me presentas, Marcelo? Igual.
Sí, por favor.
Sí.
Gustavo, ¿puedo empezar?
Sí, adelante, adelante.
Estoy mirando, puedes dejar, quitarle la presentación, Rolando, para...
Sí.
Gracias, para nuevamente.
Sí, perfecto.
Good morning,
Adelante.
everyone. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the president of the Confederation of Chambers of Commerce, Services, and Tourism of Mexico, we want to welcome you. Mr. Octavio de la Torre is really, really excited to share this series of webinars with all the partners around the world. We will continue every second Tuesday of each month, a series of topics that will definitely help you to understand how to do business here in Mexico. And today we will start with the economic outlook for the 2025 with an excellent and a good friend, a guest speaker, Mr. Rolando Paniagua. Let me introduce myself. My name is Marcelo Pasos. I'm the director of the Global Investment Consulting Center, which is a center where you can come to Mexico and we will help you. We will assist you to open and establish your business, your investments here in the whole Republic, in the 32 federal states of this wonderful country that is ready to help to develop your business. And that is the reason why Mr. Rolando Paniagua will present today the economic outlook. Let me briefly explain what is the Confederation of Chambers of Commerce, Services, and Tourism of Mexico. We represent 257 chambers of commerce, and we have presence basically in the whole territory of Mexico. 7 out of 10 formal employments are represented legally by our Confederation of Chambers. Right now, we are holding different forums around the national area, and we are addressing different topics such as the free trade agreements, investments, and we will start sharing here in these webinars topics as practical as how to do business here in Mexico, how to open a bank account, how to register your brand, how to protect your intellectual property. So we want to provide a guide for all the entrepreneurs around the world on how to land here in Mexico as smooth as possible. So thank you very much once again for joining us. And today, our first guest speaker is Mr. Rolando Paniagua. Rolando Paniagua Tabada currently works at Banco Base, an important bank here in Mexico, as a business development leader whose main activities is expanding the client portfolio and generating strategic alliances with public and private entities. But previously, Mr. Paniagua worked for 24 years at the Ministry of Economy, where his last position was the Director General of Planning and Negotiation Strategies. Because of that experience, he participated in the negotiations of the USMCA, which is the Free Trade Agreement of North American countries, and the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, where he was in charge of electronic commerce and telecommunication chapters. very important and critical for all free trade agreements around the world. He also negotiated bilateral investment agreements, which is critical when we want to guide the companies to land here in Mexico. So Mr. Rolando Paniagua has an extensive experience in investment agreements. He also participated in multilateral forums such as the G20, APEC, WTO, and so on. So he has a degree in economics and master's degree in finance. So thank you very much. And my good friend, Mr. Rolando Paniagua. Rolando, welcome to this series of webinars sponsored by Concanaco Servitur, the Confederation of Chambers of Commerce, Services, and Tourism of the Republic of Mexico. Welcome, Rolando, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Marcelo. Thank you for your warming words, and it's a pleasure to be here with you about this webinar. I mean, we are going to talk about the Mexican economy and some other things that very important for us, because these years and as the last one, and I think as the future will be very challenging for everyone. So at first, I would like to thank Mr. Octavio de la Torre, National President of Concanaco Servitur, and Mr. Marcelo Pasos, Director for the Global Investment Consulting Center at Concanaco, for the invitation to participate in this webinar. So let me share my presentation.
Yes, and while you share your presentation, I just can mention that the Mexican economic outlook looks bright, although we have a lot of changes in the region, changes in the government in Canada and in the United States. But you, Mr. Paniagua, will help us to understand how to navigate in these waters of uncertainty, right?
Exactly. And you mentioned very well, because I'm going to talk that the name of the game is uncertainty. So first, let me say that this presentation is divided in three key parts. The first one is international context. In this case, we are going to talk about what the international institutions are saying about economic growth, about the inflation, what are the main challenges that we are going to face. Then we are going to talk about the Mexican economy, a brief economic outlook. We are underlying about the Donald Trump second term, because there are some things that challenges that we analyze, and because he's saying that he's going to implement some tariff to Mexico. So we are going to talk about this situation, and then we are going to present a very brief about the economic indicators that we Banco Base we established for 2025 and 2026, and then I want to give you a very brief advertising about Banco Base and how we help foreign companies that they are planning to come to Mexico in order to offer them a very fast, efficient, and personalized service. So let's move on to the first one. I would like to start by pointing out that the current environment is distinguished by being highly volatile, and what happened is uncertain. That's why I want to point out that the name of the game, as the slide stated, it's uncertainty. The game is uncertainty. The name of the game is uncertainty. We do not know what happened in the future, causing government, investors, services providers, companies, among others, to have to rethink our economies and financial strategies to face the new challenges. That's why some economic international institutions are saying different things about how can we manage this situation and how they see this challenging environment. The first one is the World Bank. World Bank is saying that the global economy is stabilizing after several negative episodes in previous years, but multiple challenges remain. It is expected to have economic growth for the period 2025 and 2026 about 2.7%. They also mentioned that the global inflation is going down. The central banks, they have to develop some strategies to contain this inflation. The World Bank also is suggesting that the policies have to focus on increase the productivity. They have to they also mentioned that the governments have a very efficient manage of investment. We have to invest in human capital, and also we need to close the gender gap in the labor markets. In the case of the Monetary International Fund, they said that in the past 4 years have put the resilience of the global economy to the test. The global economy has demonstrated, they emphasize this part, the global economy has demonstrated resilience overall, but this masks uneven performance across regions and lingering fragilities. The institution pointed out that the global growth is expected to remain broadly flat. I mean, we are not going to decrease to grow. I mean, we are not going to grow for the next years. They mentioned that the economic growth for this year will be around 3.2%. In the case of the World Trade Organization, that is in charge of the trade measures worldwide, the Director General stated that the rising geopolitical tensions and increased economic policy uncertainty, they also mentioned uncertainty, continue to pose a substantial downside risk to the forecast. They underline that it's important that we need to work together as nation in order to ensure global economic stability, sustained growth, and trying to give the benefits of the international trade to the people. In the case of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, they mentioned that the global economy has proven resilient. Inflation has declined, but significant challenges still remain. They also mentioned geopolitical tensions are as the World Trade Organization emphasized this part. So these geopolitical tensions will suppose to have some short-term risk, but in this case, government need to make some strategies to implement some measures to safeguard macroeconomic stability. This organization also suggests that we need to improve productivity. We need to have more investment in public infrastructure, and we need to invest in people in order to have a very stabilized economic growth for the next years. So this is, I mean, the international context based on the international institutions. So as you can see, they emphasize the part of international tensions, geopolitical tensions. Challenges remain, but I mean, in any case, we need to move forward to face this situation. In the case of Mexico economic outlook, as I mentioned, I want to talk about some economic indicators. The first one is the GDP. The level of economic growth has been, as you can see, slowing down in recent quarters. The latest data shows that growth in the third quarter of last year was around 1.1% compared to annualized rate, showing that economic momentum has weakened. due to internal and external factors. So when you break down by major group economic activities, so we have that the primary activities as agriculture show an annual growth of almost 4%, but in the case of the industrial activities, is around 0.4%, and in the case of the services sector, they are growing around 2%. But as you can see, this dynamic are slowing down. So that's some kind of concern for the Mexican economy. So under this context, Banco Base estimates that GDP for the last year would grow around 1.4%, considering this kind of deceleration of the first half of the year, and there are still signs of deterioration in several segments of the economic activity. We also see that under this scenario, total GDP over the last 6 years would be around 5%, which would be equivalent to an average growth rate of 0.8% per year. So this means the lowest since the 6-year term of the Mexican president Miguel de la Madrid for the period of 1982 to 1988. Furthermore, considering the increase of population in this period, GDP per capita would be around, or would suffer a decrease around of 0.9% with respect to 2018 level. And in the case of 2025, Banco Base estimates the GDP will grow around 0.8%, slowing down due to the fact that this is the first years of the new administration, and this new administration will also have some adjustments in this first year, because of they are trying to achieve a fiscal consolidation in this first year of administration. They are trying to move the fiscal deficit going down, so they need to implement some measures. So that's why we expect that the growth will be going down for this year. In the case of the job creation, I think here we have some bad news. The Mexican Social Security Institute pointed out that more than 22 million people have formal jobs in Mexico. However, last December, there was a loss of more than 500,000 jobs, meaning a significant drop of almost 2%. So this sharp loss in December is a strong concern. It suggests that the economy could be close to entering into a stagnation or a recession. As we see this in Banco Base. So the trend in the annual growth rate also seems to show that negative rates could be soon recorded. In the case of remittances, that is a very important part for the Mexican economy, because we receive important economic flows coming from the US mainly. Talking about this, in November, remittances show a monthly growth of almost 6%, after falling for 2 consecutive months, being the highest monthly growth for a month of November since 2018. And by 2025, there is a risk of a weakening of remittances, as there could be a further deterioration of the labor market in the U.S. due to the possibility that the Federal Reserve will stop the cycle of interest rate cuts. And there is also this strong threat of mass deportation of undocumented immigrants, which could affect the consumption and growth in Mexico. So, and this is very, very important. Overall, the last part about the Trump administration, because this really could affect the flows coming from the U.S. to Mexico because of remittances. For the Mexican economy, what is relevant is the purchasing power of these remittances, which is, as you know, which is obtained converting them to Mexican pesos at the fixed exchange rate of the month and adjusting for inflation. So the purchasing power, as you can see, grew almost 24% annually in November. So this part is also a very big concern for the Mexican economy, because we have a very strong risk that these remittances could slow down a little bit. In the case of foreign direct investment, we have, according to the last information from the Ministry of Economy, that from January to September 2024, $35 billion of foreign direct investment entered Mexico, reaching a new historical high for the first 9 years, for the first 9 months of the year, and showing a growth around almost 9%, compare preliminary figures in the same period of the 2023. I want to emphasize the part of the new investment. Almost 6% of this foreign direct investment is explained by this investment, which, as you can see, fell more than 45% compared with the same period of 2023. This means this is the low growth of new investment, and I think we in the bank, we consider that this is alarming, because it indicates that Mexico is not taking full advantage of the nearshoring opportunity due to domestic uncertainty, some kind of government problems, lack of infrastructure regarding for some kind of services like electricity and water. So this 5.7% from new investment is the lowest proportion of new investment since the first 9 months of 2014, when this kind of investment accounted for almost 2% of total foreign direct investment. So this is a key part of our analysis. We're very concerned about this, because the new investment are not showing an increase in the last year. So the main part is the companies they are reinvested in Mexico. I think that's also a very good news. But the part of the new investment they are dropping. Let's move to the inflation indicator. For the case of Mexico, this indicator decelerated from 4.5% annually in November to 4.2% in December, marking the lowest inflation rate since February 2021. I mean, the deceleration of inflation throughout 2024 was partly to the economic slowdown in our country, which reduced the pressure on the main components. At Banco Base, we are estimating that inflation will close for this year around 4.1%. So this is a very good news because our central bank is also estimating to reduce the interest rates, and there is a very strong estimation that in the next meeting of the Mexican Central Bank Board will reduce the rate around 50 basis point%. So it's a very good news because in this way, our central bank is trying to boost our economic growth and trying to keep the inflation at a very good pace. Well, in the case of the exchange rate, I mean, as a bank, this is our core business. We have a very close analysis on this exchange rate. In the case of the Mexican peso, the peso closed last year trading at 20.86 pesos per dollar, showing a depreciation of around 22% or 3 pesos and 90 cents. During the year, the exchange rate hit a minimum of 16.26 pesos per dollar on April 9 and a maximum of 20.90 pesos per dollar on December 21st. So and this is why by several factors. The first one is in the U.S. Donald Trump won the presidency for a second term. They also won majority in the Senate and the House of Representatives. And Mr. Donald Trump is trying to impose a 25% tariff of certain or several or a lot of Mexican products, which is very risky for Mexico. And the month that with the highest volatility was June, with almost 25%, caused by the result of the election in Mexico, where Claudia Sheinbaum won the presidency by a wide margin, and Morena obtained a qualified majority in the Chamber of Deputies and a large majority in the Senate. So this factor affected the exchange rate. So as you can see in this graph, the exchange rate is moving up, and currently it's still moving up. So that's why I want to present some of our forecasts for this exchange rate. Okay, so we have another additional considerations. Let me focus on the right side about the new reforms. President Sheinbaum has mentioned that the Congress had to analyze around 20 reforms that they involve electoral re-election, changes of procurement laws, public infrastructure, laws for Pemex and the Federal Electric Commission. And in this case, we need to see how this going, because the Congress, they need to analyze this part because they try to make our economy more efficient. So we need to be very careful about these new reforms. The other that is very important is the National Plan of Development that right now is taking place. There is a way that in the government try to bring to the table, of course, to the private sector, to the people to participate in this, in the elaboration of this national plan. And the last one that was announced yesterday is the Mexico plan, that which seeks to increase national content in key sectors, generate specialized jobs, increase added value in local supply and supply chains, and encourage investment. With the above, it is thought that by 2030, Mexico will be around the top 10 economies worldwide, will receive around 100 billion of investment, dollar of investment, and 50 of national supply by consumption will be made in Mexico in certain sectors. This plan also try to generate more than 1 million additional jobs for advanced manufacturing. And the sectors that they are mentioning in this plan that are very important, and they try to boost this sector, are agroindustry, semiconductors, tourism, energy, infrastructure, electromobility, logistics, electronics, telecommunication, medical devices. So as you can see, this plan seems very, very attractive. But it's necessary to review how it would be implemented and the role that the private sector would be playing in promoting it. So this plan, as I mentioned, was announced yesterday, but in the next weeks, we are going to see how will be implemented, how the government is thinking, and how the private sector is will be working. Because as I think it's very important that government and private sector work together to implement this plan. The sectors are very important for the Mexican economy, and I think we also is an opportunity for Mexico that we try to close some gaps, mainly in the infrastructure such as electricity and water. Let's move to the Donald Trump second term. One of the things that worries Donald Trump the most, I think this is, this is something like a nightmare for him, is a trade deficit. So let me give you some data on this regard. In 1924, last year, the United States recorded was the last year the United States recorded a trade surplus with Mexico, 1994. In 1904, after 10 years of NAFTA, the trade deficit was with Mexico was around 7% of the total U.S. deficit. In 2019, last year of NAFTA, Mexico accounted almost 12% of the U.S. trade deficit, a new high. The last year, under the USMCA, trade deficit reached 14%, all-time high. So in the case of with the deficit with Canada, as you can see, the trade deficit is not as high as the one in Mexico. In the case of Canada, in 1994 was around 9%, but the last year was as you can see 4%. So I think the main concerns for Donald Trump it's China and Mexico, because as you can see, they are the main trade deficit for the U.S. So Donald Trump is trying to stop this increasing. The idea of the new U.S. administration is trying to decrease this trade deficit. That's why he's trying to impose some kind of tariffs that will affect the international trade between the U.S. and China, and between the trade Mexico and the U.S. So at the bank, we made an analysis in case the U.S. trying to implement this 25% tariff. So it is estimated that for every 1% increase in export prices, exports fall by around 1.3%. And only if the tariff is passed on to a consumer in the United States, Mexico exports would fall around 12%. That is it's a very concern for us. I think it's very alarming for us. So this means that if the U.S. trying to impose this tariff, it will be reflected in our GDP, and the contraction will be around 4.4%. So that's why our government needs to avoid this situation, and the fall would not only be recorded in this year, but would be deepen in the next years, due to the decoupling of the supply chains of Mexico and the United States, as well the domino effect for the rest of the economy. So it's very important to take care of this situation, and both governments, Mexican government and the U.S. government, they need to take care of this situation, because the trade, international trade, will be affected. So under all these contexts, in this slide, I want to show you the Banco Base estimates about these economic indicators. Yeah, for this year and for the next one. So our main concern is the economic growth that is going down. I think the inflation will be stabilized in the next years. We don't have a problem. The other thing that we have to take care is the public balance, because there is a commitment of the Mexican government to reduce the deficit, because I mean the government tried to be more efficient about this, the money that they are spending. Of course, the interest rate will be reduced. I mean, the board of the central bank has mentioned that they have signs to reduce the interest rate, and the exchange rate. Well, in this case, it will depend what happened with the U.S. administration. If the U.S. administration is going very aggressive, so there is a high possibility that the exchange rate will be up very high. I mean, around maybe 21 or 22 pesos per dollar. So this is the economic scenario that we see in the Banco Base. So of course, we are also some kind of optimistic that things will be work out, and we will move forward as an economic bloc. I mean, trying to work out our concerns, trying to set the right policies in order to move forward, because as you said, as you mentioned, as you know, the economic environment is very competitive, and as an economic bloc, we need to do that. I mean, we need to implement some policies in order to be a very competitive economic bloc to face, in order to be a part of this trade agreement. So let me give you just a very brief presentation at Banco Base. Banco Base is a financial institution that has around 38 years in the Mexican market. We specialize in the exchange rate. We also have investment services, financing, derivatives, brokerage. I mean, we seek how we can help companies that they are involved in the international trade. It's very important for us trying through a personalized service, trying to help these companies, trying to help the Mexican companies how to attract investment. That's why we have several kind of partnership with Concanaco, for example. That is a very good one. We try to help these kind of companies that they are moving or they are planning to come to Mexico. So that's why we are offering this kind of services that they are very important for us. We have accounts in several currencies like Swiss, the US dollar, Canadian dollar, Japanese, euro, Chinese. And that's why we think we are very competitive in this regard. And of course, in case you have any doubt, any concern about the Mexican economy, we have a very competitive team here in Banco Base that we can help you about this environment, this domestic and international environment. We can advise you about how can take a very wise decision if you're planning to come to Mexico or in any state. Of course, we have a very complete economic analysis about this situation, and we can help you on this regard. So well, I will stop here. I stop here. So thank you for your attention, and in case you have any doubt, I more than willing to help you, Marcelo. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Well, excellent presentation, and we hope it can be useful for decision makers. All this information definitely will boost the understanding of the economic development of Mexico. And thank you very much, Mr. Rolando Paniagua, on this very first webinar sponsored by Concanaco Servitur, the Confederation of Chambers of Commerce, Services, and Tourism of Mexico. And well, thank you very much. We'll be seeing all of you every second Tuesday of each month during this year with topics. The next topic will be how to protect the intellectual property of here in Mexico, how to register your brand, copyrights, and so on. So it will be a very practical topic. And then Mr. Rolando Paniagua, Banco Base, will come again and will let us know what are the requirements for opening a bank account, for example, for foreigners in companies, right? So, and we will continue with this how to do business in Mexico topics that will be really helpful for all the international community willing to land here in Mexico. Thank you very much, everyone. On behalf of our president, Mr. Octavio de la Torre, we really appreciate all your attention, and please share this webinar with your network, and we'll see very soon next after 4 weeks. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
En un país con una historia rica y diversa, surge una organización que ha sido testigo y protagonista de los cambios más significativos en México. Permítenos llevarte en un viaje a través del tiempo para descubrir la historia y el propósito de la Confederación de Cámaras Nacionales de Comercio, Servicios y Turismo. En los albores de nuestra nación, los empresarios se unieron en gremios para superar los desafíos de la independencia y resistir a los invasores extranjeros. Estos primeros gremios sentaron las bases de lo que hoy conocemos como Concanaco Servitur. A lo largo de los siglos, hemos sido forjadores de la nación y responsables de la seguridad y crecimiento de nuestras poblaciones. En el transcurso del tiempo, creamos nuestro propio marco jurídico. En 1908, siendo presidente Porfirio Díaz, se promulgó la primera ley de cámaras, estableciendo el camino para que en 1917, siendo presidente Venustiano Carranza, se creara la organización empresarial nacional más representativa y vertebrada del país, lo que significó la posibilidad de contar con un aliado en la reconstrucción y pacificación nacional. Hemos sido parte de la historia de México, fundadores de instituciones como el IMSS y el Infonavit, entre muchas otras. Hoy en día, la Confederación de Cámaras Nacionales de Comercio, Servicios y Turismo define 4 pilares estratégicos. Una confederación fuerte y renovada, la transformación e innovación del sector, continuar con la independencia con las finanzas sostenibles autónomas y la integración y cooperación de todo el sector que genera la economía de nuestro país. Nuestro propósito por ley es representar, servir y fomentar el crecimiento del sector comercio, servicios y turismo del país, impulsando la movilidad de la economía y promoviendo la responsabilidad social y sostenibilidad. Representamos el 60% del empleo formal y el 66% del Producto Interno Bruto del país. Fomentamos la capacitación y el desarrollo continuo. Impulsamos la colaboración interempresarial, promovemos la responsabilidad social y sostenibilidad. Potenciamos la innovación y establecemos redes de apoyo comercial. Tenemos más de 200 representaciones en organismos consultivos. Somos 257 cámaras empresariales en 1,857 municipios, representando legítimamente a 4.8 millones de negocios, de los cuales el 98% son negocios familiares. En la Confederación de Cámaras Nacionales de Comercio, Servicios y Turismo, somos más que una organización empresarial, somos un pilar fundamental de la nación, guiados por el sentido de pertenencia y el compromiso de buscar un crecimiento y bienestar responsable. Concanaco Servitur, unidos contigo en acciones positivas.